Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Shareen Clark, and I'm with.
BC, Brian Cox coming at you.
And welcome to the 4E's podcast.
And we're here to bring you all of those things that are going to help you enlighten your life and make you a better individual. So we're going to talk about some of the things that we're going to talk about with the podcast. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what we're going to talk about. What are we going to talk about, Ms. Shareen?
We're going to talk about education.
We're going to talk about entertainment.
We're going to also talk about enlightenment.
And we're going to talk about empowerment.
Yes.
So with all that being said, come with us down our journey. Every Monday at 4 o'clock, we're going to be on the podcast.
We sure are.
And we're going to have a lot of entertaining and education and enlightenment and empowerment opportunities for you to learn as we go down the road.
Yes.
But before we do that, we got to talk a little bit about who we are and how do we think that we're uniquely qualified to be here on this podcast. So, Ms. Shareen, let's talk about a little bit about you, and then why don't you throw it over to me, and I'll talk a little bit about me.
Sure, why not? So, again, I'm Shareen Clark, and I met Brian about 7 years ago, and we've been working together, and so we put this podcast together so we can bring the community on so that we can train and teach different ones the things that we know. I'm a photographer, a videographer, and guess what, guys, I'm also a filmmaker, so I'm very excited to bring anything and everything that I've learned and just train and just teach people. Well, so come on, Brian, what you do?
Okay, well, my background is real close to yours. I've actually done video work.
Okay.
I've done a little bit of photography, but I really don't do that. That's what you do, Ms. Shareen. What I basically do is I'm a DJ, I'm a videographer, I do sound, and I'm actually, as life has thrown me some sugar, I'm actually learning how to play the keyboard.
Yeah, I like that. I always wanted to learn the keyboard and never did. So maybe I'll join and learn that too.
Well, one of the things that helps us is that we both have a background where we have actually continued our education after high school. So with that being stated, why don't we talk a little bit about that? So I'm going to start. Basically, went to Plainfield High School, graduated from Plainfield High School, went on to Rutgers, and after Rutgers, while going to school at Rutgers, I actually picked up a job working for a social service program. And while I worked there for over 20 years, I actually had an opportunity to go back to school and get a master's degree in business. So I kind of that's my education, and that's my background.
That's awesome.
Your turn.
Yeah, so I went back to school. I was working at the Plainfield Police Division. I got laid off, so I decided to go back to school. So when I did that, I started at Union County, and actually I started as a business major. And I took intro to film class, and I'm telling you, it was history, okay? It was history. And so I transferred to Montclair State University, and I have a bachelor's degree in filmmaking. And listen, I do not regret the choice that I made because it's been awesome. It's been a good journey, and I love it. I love it.
Oh, okay. So with that being stated, you actually did some film work. Where did you work?
I did do some film work. I actually did some film work on a professional set with NBC. I was actually a production assistant, and I've learned so much from the professional industry. I mean, some great people. Ladies, guess what? I also got to work with Morris Chestnut, worked with him every day for about 5 months, I would say. And so I loved it. And I think that was my motivation to go to work because it's very long hours standing on your feet. So I think it was the money and Morris. That was my Eminem.
Wow. So what did you actually do on the set? I mean, were you actually handling the cameras? Just give them a little overview of what it was like. That's all right. Tell them a little bit of what you did do.
Absolutely. So I did not handle the cameras because while I was working there, I wasn't in a union. So if you're not in a union, you cannot touch, a lot of the equipment. But what I did do was I just made sure that everybody had what they needed, whatever they needed. I was there to provide the things that they needed, whether it was food, whether it was scripts, no matter what it was, we were right there. We did crowd control. We did so many different things. Wow, just thinking back, we did a lot. So.
And you were right here in New Jersey, is that correct?
Yes, we were right here in New Jersey. We were in East Rutherford.
Wow.
And that was on location, but whenever we, went out to different towns throughout New Jersey. So that was pretty cool because I'm here in New Jersey. I didn't have to travel across the water to New York. So I was happy about that. Yes.
Well, all right. Well, the funny thing is, let's get go into a little bit of how we actually got together. A little over 7 years ago, I actually run a landscaping business, and I was looking for a person. At the time, my wife, she was working full time, and I was working full time in landscaping. And when you run your own business, it's kind of hard to be out on the truck as well as be in the office. So I actually put out there and I spoke to some individuals that were police officers, and I said, man, you know what? I need to get a person that I can count on, that I can rely on, that is dependable, reliable, and also that can do some of the things that I need. And I said, do you know anybody? So I think we had a mutual friend.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, my cousin actually told me that you were looking for someone, and I contacted you.
Okay.
And because I worked at the police department, you wanted to verify, my work ethic.
That's where the mutual friend came in.
Like
right.
That. And
so we did have mutual friends.
We did actually.
We had
a
person that's actually a pastor right now that we jointly knew. And basically he said, listen, this is the person for you. I said, are you sure? He said, yeah, this is the person for you. And then I interviewed Miss Shareen, and we had an opportunity to talk with, I had an opportunity, I asked her for some references. She gave me references of another person who was actually a retired police officer at the time, who said, yeah, I know her. She's real reliable. She's real responsible. And, 7 years, 8 years ago.
Yeah, about
8 years ago.
About 8 years ago.
We decided to come together, and her background in photography and film and my background in videography got us to actually come up with this concept. I said one day, Miss Shareen, we need to do a podcast. And then something happened. What was that something that actually delayed us? Because we were supposed to be on the air about a year ago.
That's so true. So, of course, what we went through, what everybody went through in 2020 was COVID. So, COVID just knocked everything out of the box, and we had to wait. But, we talking about this actually over a year now.
Over a year ago. I mean, there was things that Miss Shareen, we'll laugh about it now. We laugh about it now, actually. But, I mean, I bought equipment, and Miss Shareen, tell them a little bit about what used to just tickle your fancy. You were like, I can't believe this. So I would buy stuff, and Miss Shareen would come by and say, Brian, when are we going to get on? And she would say, you bought that.
The Apple Mac Pro that he brought, and a camera, guys. And literally it's set in a box for months. And I'm like, a year. Who lets this stuff sit in a box?
And I said, Miss Shareen, we're going to get on it. We're going to get on it. And COVID got worse and worse and worse. And before you know it, a year later, we finally recording. Actually, this is our third episode, let the truth be told. But because we are being who we are, we want to bring you the best quality, the best product that we can.
Absolutely.
So this is our third podcast, but this is going to be our first podcast that we're actually going to air. And we're going to let you see that we're about the business of entertaining you and making sure that you can learn from us. And with all that being stated, what happened was that finally we got together. But in that, in life, there's a lot of travels that you actually will journey down.
True.
And one of the travels and tribulations that we actually had was, even though COVID was a negative experience for a lot of individuals, one of the things that COVID allowed me and Ms. Shareen to do was we actually got an opportunity to see other individuals that are actually going through hard times. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Actually, Brian, he called me, and I'll never forget it. He called me and he said, "Hey," he was like, "I need your help." And so I said, "Okay, what's up?" So, he said that he had got a call about live streaming funerals. And so at first I'm like, now with COVID, like you want to go and do funerals? And so, I said, you know what, okay. So, I prayed about it, and I heard someone, say something on Facebook that, what, don't fear. And, I heard them talking about some different things, and I said, okay. I said, you know what? I said, I'm just going to pray about it. And I said, God, if this is a door that you have opened, I said, cover me because I'm going in.
Word. And did we
Yeah.
go in?
We
I
went.
mean, we probably did over 30 funerals. And it
I'm sure it's
was,
more.
it was more than that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's more.
Yeah, we did a lot of funerals, and we saw a lot of people at their weakest points.
Yeah.
But one thing that we did see was not the opportunity to actually help individuals, but an opportunity. It was an opportunity, really,
Yeah.
to just give individuals another way in. When there was no way in,
Right.
we were a way out.
It's true.
Believe it or not, we were a
No,
way
it's
out
true, yeah.
because if it were not for us, a lot of individuals would not have been able to say their last respects to their loved ones.
It's true. And not only that, when we first started, I would say the ending of April, beginning of May, maybe, it was only 10 people that could actually come in to the funerals. And so, if you had a big family, that's really hard. 10 people, that is really, really hard.
Right.
So,
In addition to
Yeah.
that, though, there was individuals that just would not travel, could not travel.
too.
You know,
That too,
they
yeah.
couldn't get out of their house, they couldn't get out of
That's
their
true.
community. So you had an individual that, say, was born in Atlanta and the funeral was here in New Jersey.
Yeah.
They had to have a way in,
That's
and we
true.
offered them that way in. And that's what we're about. We're always are looking for ways to actually improve the way that we can provide services to individuals, and that was just a blessing. But the blessing started way before then. There was a time when I was actually, and we still do it, but we were videotaping sporting events.
Yes.
And I was like, Miss Shareen, I have a wedding, I have to do a landscape job, I have to go out of town. Can you cover this event? And Miss Shareen, you know that. You just stood up and said, Brian, I got you. I said, you sure you comfortable with that? She said, Brian, I'm going to school for film. I got you. And so she actually took over and did a lot of sporting events,
Yes.
ranging from football to
Basketball.
I think soccer and wrestling. So we've done a lot of those things. But in addition to all of those things that we do, actually, Shareen, you actually do something every Sunday.
Yeah, I also do the video at my church. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm going to show you how the blessing just keeps flowing. And I'm telling y'all that we are a positive thing out here, and we're doing our thing, and we're going to help you do your thing.
Absolutely.
But the other day, there was a pastor that was just starting his church, and he needed a person to come in and do sound. So what did Miss Shareen do?
Said, Brian, I got a message for you.
And what was that message?
That message that someone needed a sound person. I think they were just opening up their church and they needed a sound person. So
Yeah. So when we tell you that the blessings are there, I'm telling you that when I look at life now, my philosophy is that we want to be like a sponge.
Right.
The other day I was like thinking, how can I absorb as much information that's out there that can help me grow and help the community grow? And I thought of a sponge. And when you think of a sponge, you always think of a sponge as just being something to absorb things like water or spills or something
Soak it
like
up.
that. But the sponge ultimate purpose is not only to absorb what's coming in, but at the end to take that spill and pour it back out.
That's right.
So
Absolutely.
that's what we're about. We're about bringing things in and then pouring them back out so that everyone that we touch and that hears us can learn from us and be
Yeah.
able to become empowered to
Yes.
become all that they can be. So we're going to have individuals like we have a professor. You want to talk a little bit about that professor without telling his name, because we're not giving our secrets away yet.
Sure. So yes, a professor. He's awesome. He's helped me do a lot of different things. I actually had him at Union County, and I mean, I've learned so much from him. I like people who, if you say, you want to do something and they say, you know what, let's do it. I love that, and he's a pusher. He loves to push you. He also helped me with my book. It's called Don't Count Yourself Out. He was
Wow.
very instrumental.
You're an author too?
And I am.
Miss Shareen, come on. Tell them a little bit about that. And Miss Shareen, we are not going to tell them all about the book, but
No,
we're going
not
to
at
tell them
all.
about the book.
Of course. Now, just hold on 1 second. Let me just interject something, right? So in the beginning when we started, he said, you don't have to call me Mister. And he's been calling me Miss Shareen the whole time.
Okay, so what did we want to call? What is your radio? What is your see? I'm saying radio. We're on a podcast. So what is your podcast name from here on out?
It's just Shareen.
Okay, Shareen. Can I call you Lady Shareen?
You sure?
Okay, Lady Shareen. What do you think about that? We have a helper in the background. Do you think Lady Shareen will work? Yeah, you got to say something. Okay, so it's going to be Lady Shareen from now on.
Hey guys. No, so yes, I wrote the book, and the book is basically, encouraging people of all ages not to give up on life, not to give up when you're going through the rough storms, the rough times in your life. I also talk about a little bit about Superstorm Sandy, and
Wow.
how that impacted, while we were going through it. I mean, that was a monstrous storm, and oh man. So I talk a little bit about that. My testimony is in there, some things that I've been through. And so I just really encourage people to really, hang in there. Don't give up. When life throws you a lemon, make some lemonade.
Wow. Now, the funny thing, which we didn't share in our other two podcasts, is that this individual that we're going to bring in, I worked with him when I was in college. He had me go out on tour with him, and he had a program. I'm not going to give you the name because then you're going to Google it and you're going to look him up and you're going to know who he is before we bring him in. But this individual really got me to look at another way of making money, which was to use my sound. And at that time, there was things called, not for the youngins that are listening to this, you're going to laugh about this. There was things that were called records. How many of y'all out there remember what records were?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, if you look in your mom's and your pop's house, I'm pretty sure that you're going to find that they still have some of those things.
My
Those
dad
things.
does. He still has some. As a matter of fact, for Christmas, about maybe 2 years ago, we bought him like a record turntable thing, and it looked like it's in a chest.
She called it a record turntable
Yeah,
thing.
whatever.
It was a record. Yeah, back in
Yes,
the
we learned
day,
that.
they used to call those things 1200s for all you DJs out there. You know what I'm talking about. And today, the 1200s are still being used. As a matter of fact, if you look around and you go to some record stores today, they are out there.
Okay.
They are producing vinyl again.
Okay.
Even though most DJs that are DJing are playing off of a vinyl record where they're scratching and doing all of their cuts and their mixes and everything, the vinyl record is really just a signal tracker where it just tracks
Okay.
a signal and it connects
Okay.
to your actual computer. So
okay.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna bring in some DJs. We're gonna let them do their
Absolutely.
thing.
I know a few.
You know a few. I know a few
I know
too.
a few, yeah.
I mean, I got a DJ. I won't give you his name, but I'm pretty sure he's gonna come on our podcast because he's getting ready to start his podcast,
Okay.
and that's what it's all about. It's kind of sort of like each one.
Teach one.
And when we do that, then we all benefit from
That's
that.
right.
We all
Absolutely.
benefit from that.
That's it.
So, with all that being stated, now that we're here on our podcast and we're reaching out to you, we want you to know that there's going to be an opportunity for you to help us feed what we do and help us keep this thing going. We don't have our Cash App set up yet, but we are going to have a Cash App set up. We're going to have some Zelle set up.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to Venmo or Vimo, what is it, Venmo?
Venmo. Yes.
Venmo. You want to Venmo us? We're going to have all those things out there so that you can help the podcast continue to grow. Because as we started, we didn't have anything. Now we have cameras. I mean, one day we might give you a tour of our studio. Maybe. What do you think, Miss Shareen? Maybe might give you a tour. Maybe not. But in any event,
Maybe.
we got lights, we got camera, and we have
We have lights,
camera and
sound, Action.
The action, that's right. You know how that go on the studio set. Lights, camera,
do.
action.
Lights, camera, action.
So let me just get a little bit more into what I actually do now. In addition to being on this podcast, I run a landscaping company, and in my landscaping company, I hire a lot of individuals from the local community. I've hired individuals from outside the community, hired individuals that are looking for re-entry. I've done a lot of positive things in reference to helping my community grow. And in that, I'm often looking for opportunities to come out and service individuals out there. So if you got a landscaping project that you need done, I need you to call me. I need you to look me up. I'm on the web. Getting BC Landscaping. Get BC Landscaping. Excuse me. I'm also have a web page that's going to be coming out. It's kind of there, but I'm working on it. So I want to make sure that it's righteous. So when it does hit you, but if you're in the community of Union County, you're probably going to see my trucks driving by. Just wave me down. Say, hey, beep, beep.
Wave them down.
Who got the keys to the Jeep? Yeah, it's going to be me.
It's going to be him.
That's right. So pull me over, pull my guys over. I have like 3 trucks that are out all the time. We're looking for opportunities to be able to service the community. And I'm going to throw this back to you, Ms. Shareen, about how people can get in contact with you.
Sure. You can send me messages. I'm on Facebook, so you can go to Shareen Pitt. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, which is under Shareen Clark. And you can send me an email. So it's Shareen, M as in Mary, C as in Charlie, L as in Larry, K as in Kite, @gmail.com. Send me a message. I'll get back to you.
Yeah, we're going to actually have callers that are going to call in, and they're going to talk to us, and they're going to ask us questions, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that we can answer your question. And we can answer your question right then and there. We're going to get the answers to you.
Right.
Either if we bring an expert in to fulfill your need, to answer your questions, then that's what we'll do. If we have to answer your question because we have to bring the resources of the knowledge that we know collectively together, then we're going to do that. Is that a phone call?
Sound like there's a caller coming through.
Good evening, and who's calling? Yes, this is the 4 E's podcast.
Hey, Donovan, how are you, sir?
You have a question for us? What is your question? All right, Donovan, we're going to answer your question, but we're going to put you on hold. Actually, we're just going to answer your question, and we're going to go to, because we might have some other callers lining up. So the reality is, we kind of touched upon this, but Ms. Shareen, why don't you just give them a little idea of how long it really took us to bring this to fruition?
Okay.
And thank you for your call.
Okay, so Brian, he came to me, and he said, "Hey, I'm working on I want to do a podcast." I said, "Okay, no problem. Like, let's do it." So we actually talked about how we would do it. He mentioned he didn't want to just do audio; he wanted to do video. So I said, "Okay." I'm like, "Well, we got cameras. I have a camera, so let's do it." So we would get together, and we met. We also met with someone else, and we just talked. We met. And then again, like I said, COVID just hit us. And so we had to put everything on hold, so we just said, so we kind of did some things while he was home, while I was home, and we would talk on the phone to, get a game plan together. So I would say it took a little over a year for us to really put this together because of COVID. Yeah,
but even outside of COVID, if you're looking to start a podcast and you're looking to really do it professionally, and you're not looking to just do it with your phone, and if you want to do it with your phone, that's perfectly well. If you want to do it where you just do audio, that's perfectly well. But because we have experience in our collective backgrounds, Lady Shareen, we decided that we wanted to bring it full scale.
Absolutely.
We wanted the video part.
We wanted the video part, and then, once everything is a little settled with COVID, we actually want to bring people in. Like, we want that, that personal, I'm not going to say like touch, but, we just want that collaboration with people. We want to bring them in. We want to, just get into it. We want to have some fun. We just want to collaborate and just do the thing.
Right. But not only are we going to bring people in, we're going to go mobile. And we're
Yes.
going to be actually able to
Yes,
bring our
yes, too.
studio to you in your
Absolutely.
place of possible
Yes.
work,
Yes.
in your place of
Business.
employment, in your place of just where you get together after hours, and maybe
Yeah.
you have a band and you want to jam. You know,
Absolutely.
we'll come and put your band down on our podcast.
Yes.
We have a controller, a person. What's his name again? Where is he?
Where you at, Donovic?
Yeah, we have Dominic in the background. He's a young man that when we talk about mentoring and modeling
Yes.
and giving back to the community,
right.
we actually have this young man where we're actually tutoring, mentoring, modeling,
Yes.
all of those things. And I'm telling you,
Yes.
for a young man as young as he is, we ain't gonna tell you his age, but when you hear about him,
Yes.
remember that you heard about it on the 4E podcast.
That's right. You heard it right here.
So
Right here.
he's handling our background stuff,
Yes.
everything from the
Lights
to the cameras,
to the sound
to the switcher,
and to the computer.
and to the computer. So he's eager, he's willing, and he's able.
Yes.
So we charge all of you out there in podcast land that's listening to this broadcast,
Yes.
that you have to find someone or some individual that you can mentor and model positive behavior. Before I came into doing podcasts, I worked for a social service program where I can't even tell you how many individuals I touched. I just can't tell you.
Okay.
But I've done a lot of things that not only did it help me grow professionally, it also helped me learn about what it is to have compassion,
That's right.
what it is to serve, and what it is to mentor individuals that you can take to the next level.
Mhm. That's right.
So a lot of times we think that we're not in a position and that people aren't watching or that individuals
right.
aren't looking at us. And I'm telling you that when
That's
you
right.
think people aren't looking at you, that's when people are
They're
looking at you.
Yeah.
You know, and they're wanting to know what sets you apart and what gives you the right to do the things that you do.
That's right.
We've earned these stripes.
That's it.
We earn these stripes to do
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Absolutely.
I've done projects for universities, for community colleges.
Okay, okay.
I've done events and things for big companies. I worked with professional individuals that are industry people. And the
Okay.
reality is that what I know for true
Mhm.
and what I know for real is that this podcast is something special to be reckoned with. We are going to make sure that we are entertaining to you, and we want you to be a part of it. We want to solicit your involvement. We want to bring you on. If you have a product that you're trying to push, we want you to bring that on. If you have a topic that you wish to discuss,
That's right. And not only that, again, we know that, we may not be able to bring you in now, but we do still have Zoom, so we'll come that way and we'll call you and we'll set up a time, a schedule where you can be on the show, on the podcast rather. And we're excited. We're ready to meet you. We are ready to do some awesome things, y'all.
yeah. And with that being stated, I mean, the reality is that if you have something that you want us to cover that you
Yeah.
don't feel other podcasters are covering,
That's right.
and or that you just like the way that Lady Shareen and myself get together and we communicate, we will bring it to you. We are not beyond any approach as long as what you're talking about is uplifting,
Yeah,
positive,
yeah.
and encouraging,
That's
because that's what we're about. You may hear us slide
Yes.
to the right once in a blue moon
Yes.
about what's going on in the
That's
world.
right. That's
But the
right.
reality is that
Yeah.
most of the things
Yeah.
we're going to bring is the positive news.
The positive
You
news.
know,
yes.
you go home at night and you turn on the
That's right.
TV. I mean, there's like 10 to 1 stories.
That's
10
right.
individual stories, or 9 out of 10, using that
Yeah.
analogy, 9 out of
Mhm.
10 stories are going to probably be about what's going on wrong in the world. We
Yeah.
want to talk about what's
The
going on.
positive, yeah.
We want to talk about those individuals that took the SATs and scored high
That's right.
than average on the SAT. We want to talk about individuals that are going to some of the Ivy Leagues, going
Absolutely.
to some of the HSBU
Yeah,
schools.
we also, we want to talk to the businesses, the new business owners, small business owners. barbers and hair salons and people, nail technicians. We want to talk to you.
That's right. And if you bring us the content,
Yeah.
imagine how powerful we can bring you the
Yeah.
power of knowledge.
Yes.
You know, it's not easy. A lot of times people struggle and they say that I can't do this and I can't do that. But Shareen, Lady Shareen and myself can tell you that we are testimonials of the things that you can do if you can just apply yourself.
That's very true.
You know, all of us have resources. All of us have talents. All of us have skills that if we tap into them,
Yeah.
you know, there is no end to what you can possibly achieve.
That's right.
You know, but you got to want to constantly put your foot on the pedal, constantly push the envelope.
Absolutely. You can't fear. Just, sometimes you got to just step out and do it.
Yeah, like when
Yeah, step out and do
when you became an author, you stepped out. It wasn't like somebody told you that, yo, here goes a pen and here goes a piece of paper and you're just going to become an author. You did that because somebody encouraged you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When I went to get my undergraduate degree, I applied to a few colleges. And a few of those colleges, I didn't know, who was going to accept me and who wasn't. But I got into Rutgers University, and it was because I had a mentor that actually did a lot of positive things, and he was in the admissions office, and he knew me from when I was a little kid. And he said, listen, you're going to apply, you're going to do this application, you're going to apply, you're going to get these letters of recommendation. I'm like, you going to tell me I'm going to do all those things? I don't know if this person's going to write a letter. You're going to go and get that recommendation. You're going to get that letter. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. You're going to get a letter from your football coach. You're going to get letters of recommendations from your pastor. You're going to be involved in community service projects.
Yeah, I have a little different story with mine.
Tell us about your story.
I started at Union County.
Okay.
And I wanted to transfer, so I did some research.
Okay.
And I looked at Montclair State University's program. And so to be honest with you, I did not submit to no other school but Montclair State University.
Wow.
And I just banked and I prayed and I said, I want to go to this school. And, I did the requirements that was required of me. And I did my first short film and sent it in. And
short film?
Yeah, I did.
A short film? What are you talking about? Don't you have a
film.
short film that's actually showing somewhere right now?
I do. I have a short film called Unemployed, and it's actually being played on the Roku channel. It's called Uni ETV and Radio, and they're live streaming it at 3 o'clock. This week only, it's going to be streaming at 3. So you can watch it up until Friday. But I did another short film that I did while I was in school. And, like I said, I did all the requirements and whatever, I guess, my prayers and my work, I got accepted to Montclair State University.
Wow.
And that was the only school that I applied to. The only school.
And the crazy thing is about that is that Lady Shareen was actually working for me at this time.
Yes.
And she was like, Brian or BC, I got to go to school. I'm like, you got to go to school? She says, yeah. And I got classes. I said, well, Miss Shareen, Lady Shareen, can you work? She says, yeah. But are you gonna work with me with my skill? I said, Lady Shareen, I don't have nobody else. But she's not gonna work. So she would go to school in the morning, come to work with me in the afternoon. She would go to school, come to work for me in the afternoon, go to work in the morning. She did what she needed to do, and she handled her business, and she got her degree, and I got some work out of her. And it helped my business grow immensely.
I got some money out of here.
and I'm telling you that if there's a will, there's a way.
That's right.
So and the funny thing is that she started at Union County College.
Yes.
And I told her just the other day when we were doing one of our episodes that didn't make it to the air, but that's all right. I said to her, Miss Shareen, I studied a film class at Union County College, and I don't know why I took it, because I just said I got to get into it. Because I was doing DJing, I was doing sound, and I said I got to find another venue, because I got to have another resources and ability to apply yourself to a lot of different things gives you the ability to master your skill sets, and in addition to you have many streams of revenue.
That's right. Multiple streams of income is
Yeah.
what I've been taught in my business classes and going to different types of business webinars.
Wow.
Yes, multiple streams of income is what they say.
So I told her that
Yes.
the other day, and she just like laughed. She said, "What? You took a video class?" I said, "Yeah." That lady, she made me do stuff that she's like, "Oh, you got to do a short story, like a short story, and you got to control the whole." Engineering team.
That's
You
right.
got to control the
That's what it's
switcher. you got to tell them when to switch. You got to tell them what camera to go
That's
on.
what it's about.
You got to have a storyboard. I said a
Now he can help
storyboard.
me. He can help. Listen, he can come on the set and help me. I didn't even know all of that.
Yeah.
You know, all the time that I worked with him and knew him, he didn't even tell me about that.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things underneath each one of our hats in reference to what we do and the
That's
skill
very
sets that we
true.
have.
Yes.
But the reality is that it is just amazing that sometimes you
That's
think
right.
people are so different from you,
It's
and
true.
they sitting right in the cut and can offer you something that you need them to do.
That's very true. You got to talk. You
Yeah.
got to, have those conversations.
Yeah, I
with
told-
people, and you never know. You never know
Yeah,
where
I
life
told-
will take you.
I told Lady Shareen the other day, I said, listen, I want to write a book. And I've been wanting to write a book for a long time. I got a book inside
Write
me.
that
Everybody got a
book.
book inside you,
Yes.
But I really have a book inside me. I mean,
Okay.
I can speak to it. When individuals talk to me, they like, BC, you got it. I'm like, I ain't got it.
Listen, write that
I'm
book.
just doing.
I want to read it because I'm sure, you know what, that book is going to be about maybe that big because he's done a lot of stuff in his life. So I know the book is going to be great. And I'm ready to read it like right now.
Well, you don't
Come on,
even know
write
that.
that book.
Yeah, you don't even know, but you're gonna be sitting there in the editing booth. I'm gonna be saying, "What do you think about it?" Nah, you got to tighten this. You got to do this. You got to fix that word. You got to put a different word in there. But
I'm like, Professor, I got somebody else for you.
the
Yes.
world is not an island. You have to
That's right.
venture out of your comfort zone every single day.
That's right.
If you do the same thing over and over
Yes.
and over again and expect different results, they call that insanity.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, we want you to become all that you can be, borrowing a
right.
military phrase.
That's right. Absolutely.
We want you to just
Be
reach out,
all that you can be.
touch individuals.
Yes.
We want you to
It's
inspire
important.
individuals.
It's important.
Because when you're not looking, people are
That's
looking.
right.
When you don't
They're
think people are
watching.
looking, they're
Yeah,
watching you.
definitely watching you.
People come up to me and it's like, BC, you got it. I'm like, listen, everything I got, I worked for. Ain't nobody give me nothing. And there was times when I wanted to say, man, no, I ain't never say that. I ain't never say I'm gonna give up. Forget
Right,
that.
right.
That's not me. I would be like, yo, there's a wall over there. How high is it?
Right?
Can I go through it?
Can you go through it?
Can I swim around it?
Can you swim around it?
Can I go underneath it?
Can you?
I-
Listen, if you can go through it and underneath, you let me know. Because I'm
Yeah.
going to follow.
Yeah.
You let
Listen.
me know.
The building that we're in now, she doesn't own it, but she has a studio. She has a full-blown studio. If you want to come in here and get your pictures taken, if you want to come in and get your family portrait, Miss Shareen, is that what you about?
That's what I'm about. I'm about it all, yes.
Yeah.
You
So
definitely can come and get your portraits,
there you go.
headshots, whatever type of shots you need, whether it's in studio or out of studio, we got you. Shareen Malika Photography, we got you.
And in addition to that, if you want to get your video done, she can do the video. I'm probably going to be one of the videographers there, but we're going to bring our videographer crew there, and we're going to tape your videotape your wedding, your sweet 16 party.
Absolutely.
You need a DJ. I'm
Done.
here.
We got you.
If not, I got a son. He can do the DJing. He's pretty good at what he does. I got a daughter that can sing. She's pretty good at what she does. I got another daughter that if you need eyelashes, you need just other things, she can do that for you.
All in the family.
I got a wife that can cook. I keep trying to tell her open up a restaurant. She ain't doing it, but I'm telling her. I said, listen, you can make more money if you do these things.
Yeah.
She
So
has a
get that food
juice
truck.
that she puts out, and I'm telling you, if you try her juice, you're gonna be like, yo, where can I get that? A matter of fact, I'm gonna share a quick story with you. We had a guy in the house working on the house, and he was doing some of the stuff. So she takes the old Tropicana orange juice bottles, the plastic ones, and she cleans them out. She makes her juice. So he came over and he was working one day, and I said, man, listen, you working hard, man. You want something to drink? He said, yeah. I said, okay, try this juice right here. Right? So he went and he tried the juice. So unbeknownst to me, yeah, you're going to laugh at this. Unbeknownst to me, he took my wife at the end of the day, said, okay, I'm going to give you this juice. Take it home. He went to the supermarket with the Tropicana bottle looking to find that juice on the shelf. I said, no, he didn't. I said, no, he didn't. He said, yeah, I know that juice is on the shelf. Y'all had to buy that in the store. I said, nope, my wife makes the juice. He said, man, I went everywhere. I went to like 3 stores looking for that juice. I said, I told you my wife makes it. I'm trying to push her to make the juice. Now, listen, if you...
I gotta try the juice. Like, I've never tried the juice.
All the years you work with me, you ain't tried the juice?
Right. Never got some juice. So now I gotta get Brian.
Only thing is, if you're looking to work on your diet, this is not the juice.
Never mind.
No. Listen, I'm just telling you, the juice is all that in a bag of chips. And she don't do like one juice, she do like 5 or 6 juices. I'm like, listen, I can get that product out there and we can make a lot of money.
You need to do that. Get you a juice truck.
Yeah, but she's not feeling it. But anybody and everybody come by. I had a guy, he ain't with us anymore, but I loved him to death. He kept me going when I was DJing and doing things. God bless his soul. But he would basically come by and he'd be like, I know what's in that. I know what's in that juice. What is it? Wow. What is it? And I said, Sharon, don't tell him the secret. Don't tell him the secret. And she would not tell him the secret. And he would come by and be like, I just stopped by because I was in the neighborhood. Can I get some of that juice? Lady Shareen, you're going to taste that juice.
Yes, I am.
And when you taste it, you're going to be like, that is some marketable stuff.
So put my approval on it and let her know, listen, you have to put that juice out.
So there's a lot of people that have skill sets out there. You know, I remember back in the day, there was some individuals that played basketball, and I swore they were going to make it to the NBA. Wow. They didn't make it to the NBA. Yeah. But they had the skill sets that back then, to me, they were they were just that neighborhood person that had that skill set that could aspire to play on the collegiate level, that could aspire to play on the semi-pro and or pro level. There's a lot of talent out there, and we need you to bring your talent to the podcast.
Yes, absolutely. We would love it.
Yeah,
we would love it. So if you know that you want to get your talent out there, or you want to say, hey, I want to talk and be on the show with Brian and Shareen, listen, contact us. Let us know. We will be contacting people that we know as well, but contact us. Please get in touch with us.
Yeah, and this all started kind of back in the day. We touched on that the last time we talked. But I remember back in the school that my entrepreneur spirit started with me selling lollipops. I was selling lollipops in the high school. And people would be like, yo, can I get that lollipop? I'll be like, we in the middle of the English test. You can't get a lollipop. And the teacher would say, you're going to stop selling those lollipops in my classroom. And if you don't, his name was Mr. Stanley. Wow. If you don't stop selling those lollipops, I'm going to take your product and I'm going to report you down to the office. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to sell them. And as soon as he turned his back, give me that lollipop, I'll give you the money. Man, and that was where it all began for me. You have a similar story.
I do, actually. My dad, he was an entrepreneur, ever since I was a kid that I've known. And he used to go to New York and buy stuff wholesale. And I remember he brought my sister and I some pencils and pens.
No, he didn't.
And he said, go to school and sell these pencils and pens. Yes, I think. Wow. I don't remember how much we sold them for, but yeah. So that entrepreneurial spirit is definitely born inside of us because. Yeah.
Yeah, and listen, I attribute it, as I said to you the other day, I attribute it to my father.
Yeah.
My father worked at Ford Motor Company. Yeah. He worked at Bell Labs, and on weekends he cleaned people's windows in their houses, in their offices, and I think on Sunday after church he would basically clean the pews and clean the church. He's like, okay, everybody out the church. He would go in there, and that was one of his hustles. Yeah. So
you know, honestly. Brian, you get it honestly. If you
I could not
Honestly.
believe that. I could not believe. And one thing I said to myself is that my father, God bless his soul, he worked very hard. And he worked so hard that I was like, when I grow up, I want to be able to do the things that he did, but I don't want to work as hard as he did. My father had an 8th grade education,
Wow.
and he was able to raise 7 kids.
That's awesome.
6 boys and 1 girl. He was able to do that. As a matter of fact, not was he only able to do that, we were one of the first families, probably, or one of the few families in Plainfield. There was a few of us, but there was not that many that actually owned their own house. And not only did he own his own house, he had a swimming pool in the backyard. I don't remember I went to anybody's house that had a swimming pool in the
No,
backyard.
they came to yours.
And if it was a swimming pool, it was one of those little swimming pools that you dive in and you had the turtle in or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You dive in and be like, nobody else can get in until I finish, splashing. You didn't get to swim. You got to splash.
Just splash.
Yeah. So, I mean, people would come to our house. I remember my brother Tim, man, he would have these parties. And senior year, he had a party at the house, and he was like, y'all can't be out here. I'm like, what do you mean we can't be out here? He's like, y'all got to go in the house. And he had all these, back then they were ladies to me because I was, in middle school, and he had all this fun, and we had people come over. As a matter of fact, in our living room, as I was saying the other day, we used to play football in our living room. We had a little plastic football, and we would like, throw me the ball.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Where we would move
Boys
the,
at that too. Oh.
we would move the furniture around. My father come home and say, it smell like a gym in here. I was like, we ain't doing nothing, Dad. We ain't doing nothing. Knowing that we just finished playing football in that house. But you don't come from a small family neither, Miss Shareen.
Well, I mean, it's only 4 of us.
4?
Yeah, it's
That's a
only
lot
4
of people.
us. Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
I have 2 sisters and a brother. And
Yeah.
then myself. So
Yeah, but that's good. And each one of them did their own thing and
Yes.
made their own way. And
Yes.
a lot of the inspirations that we got from our parents.
Absolutely.
We were both blessed enough to have both our mother and father raised us.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know,
Yeah.
they poured into us. My mother was a community activist. She did a lot of things. A lot of people come up to me to this day and be like, oh, I know your mother. She worked at the 2nd Street Youth Center. And not only on top of that, she was the one that she was the first person that believed in me and gave me a job. I'm like, wow.
Awesome.
And now I'm giving people jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at him. No, that is really true because he called me one day and said, hey, I need some work done. And he said, is your son available? So I said, well, let me find out. I asked my son, and he started working with him.
Yeah. Now he moved on to bigger and better things, but he also was inspired. He was an individual that I think I had a little to do, not a lot, because Lady Shareen did her
Here
job
we
as a mother. She
go.
did her job, but I helped mentor him, and I used to get on him
Yeah.
and tell him because he was like in love, and I said, man, we all was in love at one point or
Right,
another.
right.
You traveling where? I said, man, you need to get closer to home.
Right.
So, but he came in and he did his thing,
That's right.
clean cut, respectable, educated. Matter of fact, he went to Stockton State, right?
Rowan.
Rowan State.
University, yes.
Rowan. I'm sorry,
Rowan
Rowan.
University, yes.
Rowan. And I think I'm gonna have another person in my family that might be attending there. And from what I understand,
It's
that
a great school.
it's a great school.
It's a great school.
Not only is it a great school, if you ever get to go down there, from what I understand, they did a lot of construction.
Yeah, they have. I think they have a new business building.
Wow.
And they built something else. They have a brand dorm facility. Like it's really really nice down there. And they, he actually graduated last year, during COVID. Again, COVID, right? But he graduated during COVID, so that was hard. But he graduated with his bachelor's, and it's funny how I never mention anything about what they should be or hey encourage whatever. Hey, listen, it's your life, you have to live it. And he ended up going to school for film, TV, and radio. So
Wow.
yeah, and he just started his own clothing line.
Wow. And in addition to that, the thing that just really blows my mind is that how sometimes we don't know where our children are going to go and what they're going to do. But when they follow in our footsteps, man, does that make us proud. When they get to become independent, man, does that make us proud. My daughter, Akila, she has her own line of products.
Awesome.
My daughter, Brianna, bless her, she has giving me 3 beautiful grandbabies. I'm a grandfather 3 times. I got I got a daughter, a grandbaby, and I have 2 sons. So, and it's just a beautiful thing. And she's living on her own. She's working for a realtor, and she's talking about doing bigger and greater and better things. And I hope that
start somewhere.
I pray that some of the things that I've done and said to her have influenced her to become all that she can. And then my son, he's working real hard on working and DJing and just keeping things going. So the reality is that of all my children, one thing that I think that they learn is that not only do you work for somebody, but you work for yourself.
That's right. Absolutely. You know, and I love it because it seems like now we have a lot of Black African Americans who are small business owners, entrepreneurs, and, you know, doing their thing. I love it. So, you know, these are the things that we want, you know, people to come and share their stories, and we want to go, you know, into people's lives and, you know, like Ryan said, where they are, where they do business at, and we just want to showcase so people can see that it can be done.
Yeah, I mean, if I had my wishes, you know, what I would like to see happen is that when COVID is behind us, is just to have a big celebration for all those individuals that, I mean, I can't even imagine. Lady Shareen, I can't even imagine what it would be like my senior year. They talking about you ain't going to walk down now. You're not going to get your cap and gown. Right. You're not going to have your diploma given to you. You're not going to get a chance to walk across the stage. I'll be like, what?
That's tough.
And a lot of individuals, because of this, because of this, did not get a chance to do that.
That's right.
I think we need to have a big celebration and a big party for all these individuals that actually graduated last year. And listen, I'll be a co-sponsor in that. So if anybody who thinks that we should do something like that, let's put our minds together. Let's celebrate the success of all of our children, especially those that graduated from college. I'm not saying it's not important for those that graduate from high school, but if you graduated from high school and you're going on to college, you're going to have another opportunity.
Absolutely.
But for an individual that graduated from college and doesn't plan to go back to school and get their master's or their doctorate, then we really need to celebrate your success.
Absolutely.
Because that success, I mean, you know, you have very few things that happen in life that are as significant as one, I think, graduating from high school, 2, graduating from college and or vocational school and or going to the military and or training school. And then the other thing is when you have your children, and then your children have their children. These are the things that are like monumental. In addition to that, obviously, I'm a married man, so marriage is another key thing. And, you know, owning your own car, owning your own house. So we're going to bring individuals in that can help you along the way in learning how to do those things. One of the things that I did the other day, actually I started a year ago, I told you in one of our previous recordings, is that I took a certain amount of money every week that comes out of my bank account. It just comes out of my bank account and it goes into another bank account. Awesome. And the reason I do that is because I need to have a nest egg when this is all over with, when I'm not ripping and running. And in order to do that, you got to have a nest egg. Now, some people have 401ks. You know, some people have retirement plans. Some people have to just invest in themselves. And when they invest in themselves, they have to have a way in after there's a way out. So my way in is to just keep putting money away, I hope to have individuals to come on the podcast that can talk about some stocks and bonds.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. I want to know that as well.
Yeah, how to set up that retirement plan, how to set up that medical plan, because we all need those things.
Definitely.
I mean, I was unfortunate that I got a little sick a little while ago, about a year and a half ago, but I had health insurance. If I didn't have health insurance, man, they probably would have took me in the emergency room and let me out the back door. Walked me right out the back door. Now, so these are just things that I learned.
No, it's true, though.
Because
it's very true.
you have to be ready.
Yeah.
You have to always be ready.
Yeah.
And when you're not ready, you have to get ready.
It's true.
You have to get ready.
Yeah, this is very true.
Because if you don't get ready, and then it's your time up at bat,
Yeah.
the pitcher's going to pitch the ball whether you ready or not.
That's true. And nowadays, life insurance is very important too.
Yeah,
Life
I've
insurance
already
is
looked into
very
that.
important.
I've already looked into that. I
Yes.
tell my wife all the time, we have to be equipped.
you
We have
need
to be
it.
ready because with the way that listen,
Yeah.
when the good Lord calls you home, he doesn't ask you, are you ready?
That's right.
You don't say, BC, are you ready? Did you get to finish all your works here on earth? He'd be like, yo, man, it's your time. You got to go.
Yeah.
And then how do you leave those individuals behind? How do you leave them in reference to being able to deal with your estate?
That's
Do
right.
you have a will written?
That's important too.
Do you have an insurance policy
Insurance is very, very.
that can help put you under? And then allow your spouse and or your children to live a little bit better. Further down the road, 6 months, a year, 2 years. I would hate, that if something would have happened to me, that the day after the dirt didn't even dry, that they be talking about, Miss Cox, what are you gonna do? Who gonna pay this mortgage? I don't want that to happen to her. So I'm definitely looking at doing that. So we're about the positive energy.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that you gained that and
Absolutely.
you pulled that out of what we're talking about.
Yes.
I think that we offer a uniqueness, not just because we are a male-female combo, but also because we have knowledge and we have a passion.
Definitely have a passion.
And if you have the passion, you never work a day in your life.
That's it. I'm trying to get there.
Oh, you have the passion.
No, I have the passion,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to get there where I don't have to work so hard. So.
Yeah, well, but I think that with a passion, even though it is work,
you love it. It's not.
you
it's
don't
not a hard
labor.
task,
You
right.
don't labor over it.
Right.
I mean, when I'm out there and I'm landscaping, I love landscaping. Last year, my wife was on me for like 10 years. She told me to build her a garden. And I'm like, I'm building her a garden. So I finally built the garden last year. And we got some things out of it.
Yay.
But it was something that she wanted me to do. And I was like, I'm not doing it. And then I finally came onto it.
Awesome.
And we got some tomatoes. We got some greens.
Yes.
We got some
But
peppers.
See, it helps you, because it's fresh vegetables. You don't have to worry about going to the store to buy them. You growing them yourself. So, that's awesome in itself.
Yeah, and not only on top of that, it gives you a chance to get back to nature.
Absolutely.
One of the guys that works for me, he says everything has its natural order.
Yeah.
And one of the natural order
Yeah.
is that if you want to eat, learn how to grow.
Yeah. Now I need to come to your garden and come and pick some tomatoes and all that.
No,
good stuff.
that ain't happening. Lady Shareen has a big plot of land in her backyard. And we will be starting a garden in her backyard. Matter of fact, we're going to videotape her starting her garden. Because, listen, if she's going to help me become an author, I'm going to help her to become a gardener.
I love it. Listen, I'm ready for it. Like, let's do it.
Yeah. So
Shoot,
not only is
I'm ready.
not only is she gonna be gardening, she gonna come here and we're gonna have a day where we're gonna put all the fruit right here that she helped grow.
Yeah, come on.
And we're gonna be like giving back to individual senior citizens and everything else.
Absolutely.
Because
I'm ready.
the
Let's
only
do it.
challenge she has is where she lives. She got a whole bunch of deer, so we're gonna have to like fence that
Yeah, we gotta
thing because
fence
the deer, and anything other wild animal that's over
Yeah.
there gonna be trying to come in. The foxes, the
Yeah,
deers.
we have all that, literally.
I know you do.
We do. We have everything. We even, last year, I don't know where they came from, but we have chipmunks. We
Chipmunks.
have chipmunks. And,
Alvin and the
sorry.
Chipmunks.
Alvin and chipmunks. You know what I forgot? I also seen a snake. My dad said it might be a garden snake, but listen, a snake? I can't do that. So,
Hey.
hopefully when we do the garden, we gotta get rid of them.
Well, I have deer in my backyard too. But not only do I have a deer, last year there was a big rooster in my yard. I'm like, what is he doing in my yard?
Wow.
And I mean, he was a rooster that I stayed far away from because I didn't want him to spread those wings and start coming to me.
Yeah.
I would have had to do the electric slide or something to get away.
So
You know?
that's probably somebody's rooster that got away.
No, that ain't nobody rooster.
No.
There's wild roosters in
Are you
Plainfield.
sure?
Yeah, I'm
Because
positive. I'm telling you, there's a swamp right there between Plainfield and Scotts Plains. There's some roosters in there.
Okay.
I seen them.
Wow. Well, we get wild turkeys from time to time.
Well, maybe it was a turkey.
Maybe it was a wild
no, I'm
turkey.
sorry, it was a live turkey. You right.
Okay, so it's a turkey.
But there are people that got roosters in Plainfield.
They
I seen
do.
them too,
got
and they be
roosters
making them
and hens.
noise.
Yes.
When I called the
Yes.
other day and I was on QuickBooks and I had to make a phone call, I was talking to somebody in Thailand and they had a rooster in their backyard. I said, "What time is it?" He said 4 o'clock,
Yeah.
and that rooster was just going off.
Yep.
I'm like, "Daggone."
We have someone that lives on our street and they have a rooster and a hen and they have eggs. They make eggs and they used to live on our street. So their son was friends with my brother and my son and my daughter, and they used to bring eggs over. So
Wow.
yeah, absolutely.
Listen, I'm all about it. I'm all about it, and when I
Me
say
too.
I'm
So
all
come on,
about
let's
it,
do it. Help me with this garden.
yeah, I'm gonna help you with that garden, and
Please
we're gonna
do.
help each other with this podcast, and we're gonna look back over the years, and we're gonna realize how much of an impact we have had and influence we have had on individuals. And the reason I know that that's going to come to fruition is because we're just both positive individuals.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard Lady Shareen ever use a curse word, and I'm trying to practice that because I try to tell people you got to find another word in your vocabulary other than those 4-lettered words, because when you speak those words, you're not speaking to your intelligence. You really kind of speaking to the ability that you don't have a bigger vocabulary to speak into existence. One of the things that I do, and the podcast is getting ready to end. We got about another 4 or 5 minutes. One of the things that I do outside of all of the things that I do is that I do give back. I belong to a Groove for Groove Social Fellowship Incorporated, and we do a lot of community service projects in the community where we give to individuals, we help feed individuals, we help give clothing to individuals. We've done projects for social service agencies. One of the projects we're working on right now is putting up a new sign for an agency in Plainfield that the sign just was dilapidated. And I say, man, we got to help them. We went there initially because I do landscaping and we cut the grass for them. But then I looked at the sign. I said, man, that sign looks terrible. So we've been working on that for almost a year, and we're going to have an unveiling of that sometime in the very near future.
Awesome.
But each one of us has an ability, and I'm going to put a challenge out there, Ms. Shareen. We didn't talk about this before, but I want whenever we have a guest come on our podcast, I want them to feed us with something that I often started called Random Act of Kindness.
Okay.
And what Random Act of Kindness is that basically you just speak into existence every week at least one random act where it wasn't predetermined, it wasn't planned out. You just do something. Like I was at a social service agency, and an individual came up and they were like, yo, I don't have no money for my car, I ain't got no gas, I ain't got no food, we got a baby sitting in the back, we don't know how he gonna eat. I said, listen, I ain't got a lot of money, but he goes $25. And I just gave it to him. That's a random act of kindness.
Yeah.
You know, you see somebody sitting on the street, on the stoop, they look like they look like they trying, but they just look like they need help.
Yeah.
You know, you give them a coat.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You give them something.
Yeah.
That random act of kindness, every time, this is what I believe. This is one of my philosophies. The more you give out,
The more you will receive.
it's like the blessings.
Absolutely.
People that go to church talk about the blessings.
That's
It
right.
talks about the individuals gaining things that they didn't even know was going to come to them.
That's right.
But if you give to the universe has no
That's
other alternative.
That's
It is a rule that the universe must give back to you.
That's right. Like sowing those seeds.
Yeah.
we were talking about before,
Yeah.
you know, and he's going to help me to be able to sow, you know, the vegetable seeds. So, you know, if I sow a seed in tomatoes, guess what? I'm going to get back tomatoes. And it's going to be more than that one seed that was planted.
Right. And in the same
Yeah.
reasoning and logic is that you're going to help me write that book.
Absolutely.
And when I write that book and we're out there and we're touring the world
Yes.
for our podcast,
Yeah.
it's time to go.
And we can sell our books together.
Yeah, it's time for us to go. So, again, you're listening to,
The 4 E's podcast.
which is educational,
Empowerment
enlightenment,
and entertainment.
and we'll be here every Monday between
Yes.
the hours of 4 to 5. And if you demand us to be here and require us to be here, we'll extend those hours and those days.
Absolutely.
But we're going to get through these Mondays and we're going to get to see you the next time we're in.
Yes.
And so until then,
Good night.
good night. Peace.